Merry Christmas, everybody. Today is Christmas morning. My kids are at their own homes waiting for them to show up later on today. So I've got plenty of time to install my Christmas gift to myself, which is the KC Gravity Pro6 lights. I've got two driving beam lights that are going to be mounted to the steel bumper on the front of my Jeep Gladiator. So I'm going to actually drill out a couple of the holes that the Torx bolts are in this factory steel bumper and mount the Pro6s on. And then I'm going to use the harness that came with the lights to actually connect it into the car's power system using the auxiliary switches that are a factory option on my Jeep Gladiator. So I won't be needing this switch. So I did go on the KC Lights website and found out that the switch wires that come with this wiring harness have three colors, as you can see possibly here. There's a red, yellow, and black that go into the switch that was supplied with this harness. I'm only going to be using the red wire. I'm actually going to connect this red wire up to the auxiliary switch wire that's under the hood. Then on the other end, I am going to take, with this fuse there's a black wire on the harness, and that is going to connect to my battery terminal, and that is it. The rest of the wires I'm just going to tie wrap up and leave not terminated to anything, and possibly may put some shrink wrap on them just to keep corrosion away. So here's my Gladiator. As you can see, I threw on some 37s and some black Rhino rims and a Mopar 2-inch lift, and actually have the rock slide steps on there, drop down steps, which absolutely love it. So let's take a look at what we need to do next. So as you can see, the grill needs to come off. I'm going to run the wires. These are the bolts I'm going to actually take out right here on both sides. I do have the trail cam, so I'm actually going to make sure that the lights are, far enough away so it's not in the way of it. But in order to actually run the wires up and under and then across to back here so one of the first steps is actually locating the auxiliary switch wires, which is kind of hard to actually see. I'll tilt the camera back here. I'm coming over to the battery, and as you look down right here, there's this bundle of wires that was all taped up. All right, so this was actually taped up pretty tight right here, and I pulled on the tape, and there it is. Here are the 4 wires that we're going to use from our auxiliary switches, and we'll unwrap this and we'll use one of the 15-amp wires. So the 2 thicker wires we'll see are for 30 amp, and then there's 2 for 15 amp. So switch 1 and 2 are 30 amp, switch 3 and 4 are 15 amp, and we'll take probably the orange wire off of that and run to our KC lights. So to remove this blind nut that's behind this Torx bolt, I had to loosen up these 2 bolts right here. That gave me enough space that I could actually put the hook tool between the 2 pieces of steel that are right here and work the blind nut so I could actually get it to spin this way. And it was sticking out about that, I could actually see it right about like that. It was a spring clip holding it in. I then was able to grab it with a pair of needle nose pliers and just manually force it out, and it popped the spring clip that kept it in that hole. Do is actually remove the grill face. There we go. It just went in the truck to actually grab this off the seat. So if you don't have body panel removal tools, go on Amazon and get a set. Just plastic, a bunch of tools that help remove all these types of Christmas tree type fittings, locking push pins and such. These things on an ice cold day are almost impossible to remove. You can put your screwdriver in and actually, you know, wiggle this thing around for a while, and it's pretty hard to get up. So I'm using this side. Once I get a little bit up, I use this side and just boop, up it comes. Ice cold. It's working very, very well. So just had to do this with one hand. Oh, yeah, that worked. So if you don't have a set of body tools, I would like look on Amazon and get some. All right, so the grill is now over there. Basically, once we pulled those push pins off the top, it just had some tabs that went into these holes down here and just slid out. And because I have the trail cam on there, I had to remove this water hose for the, which is just pressing down on this silver piece right here, and it released the hose, and it has a nice shut off, so it doesn't leak all over the place. So we'll just clip that up out of the way. And then the trail cam itself had a release right here. I just had to press this and then pull it apart. So pretty straightforward. So, the next step is actually reaming that hole out, because for the KC light bolt, it's a little wide for that hole. So just using one of these reamer tools, you know, nice purchase, cut through the steel no problem. So just like a few seconds with that, just widen the hole out, and now I can get the light to just drop right into that spot, no problem. So one of the things that is going to be a little bit of a problem right now is the fact that this nut on the bottom of the light is actually a 24 millimeter. I don't know what it is in standard, but I had a 24 millimeter socket that actually fit it. I don't have an open-ended wrench that will fit that, so my channel, I'm going to need something to hold that, you know, an adjustable wrench to get it on there. So let's see what we can do to mount these up. All right, from the file of working smarter, not harder, I simply pulled out the 4 millimeter Allen and the two front tight, you know, adjustment screws that you use to actually position the light. I simply removed them and took the ball mount right off, and that gave me easy access to just use this very thick adjustable wrench to hold the top of this in place while I get underneath and tighten the bolt. So I recommend that if you do not have a 24 millimeter open-ended wrench handy. All right, so I actually just used this air conditioning tube. Hopefully it won't cause corrosion on it, and zip tied the wires, all that loose bundle I just put there and tucked underneath. So this wire right here, you can see it comes over, and then the extra is tucked right here. It comes up right by the radiator over here underneath the airbox mount, and it's going to end right there. Okay, the grill is back on, snapped on. All the connectors for the camera and the water to the cleaning of the camera are connected. The push pins back in, everything is ready to go. So that's all set. We've got the wires for the lights all snaked out through. We connected the negative to this accessory spot on top of the battery, to the negative ground, and that actually goes on to this piece right here. So if you are looking at how this thing is wired, right next to the fuse is the black ground. Now all the way at the end of the other is the switch part, and we took the red for power off, and just temporarily, just before I cut anything, just want to make sure this thing works, and that I, you know, have this actually, as I presume, this is the right wires to actually turn this thing on. So I stripped the blue wire, that's accessory number 4, and if you look in your manual, you'll see what buttons drive every one of these colors. So accessory number 3 is the orange that's kind of buried in there. and 1 and 2 are 30 amp fuses. So if I have something that requires more power, I'm going to use those for that. So with this just, you know, basically hanging on by some threads, I am going to walk around, and I'll tell you what, after you do a lift kit and 37-inch tires, these Rockside Engineering steps are the way to go. Awesome. So we're gonna start the motor. I actually already pressed the button on aux 4, so it should power up. Let's see. Success. Both lights are on. Next steps. What we're going to do is cut that wiring harness down to size. It's a lot of extra wires. We don't need that. I'm going to trace that red wire all the way back to here and just cut it and solder it. Okay, so nice shiny piece of solder there. You can see that I used the heat gun to put some heat shrink over the wires that I terminated and cut the harness short, and also on that red wire. All right, so just wanted to make sure, you know, that the trail camera is working after, you know, buttoning everything up. So I'm going to go into the apps. I'm going to go into off-road pages. Waiting. Bueller. Okay. Maybe lost but never stuck. That's why they have winches. Trail cam. Oh, good. So there we are. We are looking through the trail cam. We can see that it is working. The lights actually picked up by that camera. That's a pretty wide angle lens, isn't it? Let's see. Clean camera. Nice. All right. So we've got our auxiliary switch on. Let's just do one last check. And they are on. A little water on the front of the nose there. So, you know, pretty easy install. I think if you have the steel bumper and you're looking for some spots, this is a nice place to mount them. Doesn't require any additional cost. And, you know, as you follow the instructions, pretty straightforward. So hopefully this video helped, and you know, you're having as much fun with your JT as I am. All right, we're out.